name is Raymond Majongo. I am the Secretary General of the Progressive Teachers Union of Zimbabwe. Teachers in Zimbabwe are facing serious challenges. Apparently, I'll basically categorize them into possibly 2 or 3 categories. The first one is the challenge of poor salaries. What I'll simply say here is that teachers in Zimbabwe, the lowest paid teacher is basically earning $284 bond RTGS salary. And that translates to something less than $100 at the going rate of rate on the black market. Now, ultimately, you are looking at a person who is a qualified teacher, possibly with a wife, possibly with a family. How do you survive on $284? You have to pay rentals, you have to buy food, you have to buy clothes, because you have to be presentable and respectable in front of the kids. You're a role model. You have to take care of rentals, you have to take care of medical bills, you have to take care of transport costs, you have to take care of the extended family. So ultimately, in terms of salaries, we are seriously compromised. If you go to the other challenges that are work-related, you're going to realize that teachers are overworked. We have huge bloated classes. We have situations like we have in many rural setups where a grade 1 teacher teaches up to 105, 110 kids. It's almost like addressing a political rally every time that you come to class. So you're overworked, you're overburdened, you basically face serious challenges. This is why when you consider what is happening on the ground, we have serious cases of teachers who have suddenly become suicidal, who are enduring a lot of chronic diseases, BP, hypertension, and many other challenges. And if you really go back and consider some of the situations on the ground, we have serious cases of family dislocation, suicide cases have gone up, and many other challenges that come back to impact on the person negatively. So these are the challenges that teachers are facing on the ground. Poor accommodation, issues around, we can't even send our own children to school. So if you put all these things together, you basically come to a point where you then say, why did this teacher go to school? Because if you went to school in pursuit of education and ultimately coming into a country to give relevance and importance to the children that you are supposed to superintend over, many of the teachers are now saying, why did we train as teachers to start off with? Because it has basically proved to be a punishment. So this is why, as unions, we are standing up to say, government must own up, government must act responsibly, government must take care of the teachers, because it is not the responsibility of the teacher to look for salaries for themselves. It is the responsibility of the government. And this is why we are saying to government, why don't they address the issues of our salaries as a matter of agency? Because many a time, all these requests and demands that we are giving are basically being shot down on one technicality, that government does not have money. But it is not the responsibility of teachers or workers to look for money for their employer to pay them. And like I've always said, we don't care whether the money comes from Boko Haram, whether the money comes from Satan, whether the money comes from Belarus or from the Suez. The most important part is government must take responsibility and prove to us that they are the government of the day. Even if they are going to turn around and say they can't pay, the real challenge that many teachers and myself will have is the level of opulence and extravagance that we then witness on the lifestyles of our government leaders. It then becomes a problem, because you can't then tell me that government cannot afford salaries when we know that they are buying cars for chiefs, when we know that many other resources are being used in many other spheres which are not beneficial to the nation. Then it becomes a real problem. This is why we are saying, as teachers, it is time government responds to the requests, the demands and the needs of the teachers, because if we are going to be relevant to this country, the teachers, the children that we teach must respect us as a profession, because that's the only way we then can be able to motivate them to appreciate that teachers are of relevance. Who wants to listen to a teacher who is coming to school wearing a tattered shirt, who can't even afford a jacket and tie, who can't even dress properly? Who wants to be taught by a teacher who comes to look for food from these kids? Who wants to be taught by a teacher who comes into class with a grumbling stomach because they have not eaten anything? These are the simple basics that we are simply saying. Even if anybody is going to turn around and say teachers are not important, if the future of this country is going to be prosperous, teachers must be respected.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.26reachad.com. Follow us on Twitter @26 263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.